Quick recap for college football. We went 305. Bo Nix did not come through. They played good defense on him. And Rome did not get a touchdown. He got the yards. He did get over 100 yards, but he didn't get that touchdown to cash out that fantasy score. So we hit 305. But we're going to bounce back for Saturday, December 2nd. And I got 5 solid picks. I got 4 for fantasy and 1 for rushing yards. Let's get started with fantasy score. And first one, we're going to go with Ollie Gordon, running back for Oklahoma State, going against Texas. And I have his fantasy score at 20.5, taking the over. He averages way over 100 rushing yards. Hopefully he has a touchdown or two. He usually cash this. But at 20.5, he usually averages about 25 or 30. As you can see, his last game against BYU, he had a 51.6. Obviously, he's not going to get that against Texas. He is going to regress. But I see him getting about 30 or 35 fantasy points. Should be a good game. So I'll be taking Ollie Gordon, the over. Next up for fantasy score is Joey Aguilar, Appalachian State's QB at 18.5. I'll be taking the over. He's been averaging well in the mid-20s, going against Troy. So I see him going over in this with a couple touchdown passes. Should be a good game as well, but I think money line, I think Troy will win this game. But I think Joey Aguilar will have a good game to go over in his fantasy. Next up for fantasy is Deacon Hill, Iowa's QB. He's not much of a thrower, but he does run the ball pretty well. At 4.5, I've never seen this low of a score for a QB. Like I say, he doesn't pass very much. So you can see his past 5. He only had that big game against Rutgers at 223. He's not a big much of a passer. He does run the ball somewhat. But at 4.5, it's hard to pass up. Should be a good game. Money line, obviously, I think Michigan's going to finish the season undefeated. And I think they'll beat Iowa pretty easily. But Deacon Hill should cash this. I mean, he has at least 100 yards, a little over 100 yards. I think he can cash it. If he has a touchdown pass, this is a lock. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed, obviously, in gambling. But this is as close as you can get to a discount to square. But I'll be taking the fantasy score and taking that chance. Next up, I'll be taking Roman Wilson at 9.5. His reception is another good option if you want to take that. But I'm going to be taking his fantasy score. He averages about 15. So against Iowa, Michigan, Roman Wilson is a top wide receiver for Michigan. And if there is a blowout or if there is a big game, I think Roman Wilson will have a big game on his fantasy score. So I'll be taking the over. He's going to have way more than 3 receptions, so that's not a bad option as well. You do have push equity as well. Next up I have, and it's a rushing yards, it's Leshan Williams at 39.5. He's been averaging double this in the past 6 games. You can see his past 5, 64. I think he's going to have a pretty decent game. Knowing that Deacon Hill is not much of a passer, obviously you're going to use a running game, and Leshan Williams, it is a top running back for Iowa. So at 39.5, I think he's going to get that pretty easily, knowing that Deacon Hill is not much of a passer. So I'll be taking Leshan Williams over rushing yards. So these are the 5 I'll be going with. Ollie Gordon, Joey Aguilar, Deacon Hill, and Roman Wilson all over fantasy. And Leshan Williams over rushing yards. So hopefully we hit better than 305 than we did today. Unfortunately, Bo Nix was a culprit. So please like, subscribe, and comment. Hopefully we hit. I'll have my NBA video out tomorrow morning. And I'll see you guys in the next one.